I'm going well on Shell, Shell, Shell.
We're delving into the incredible journey of a kid who went from Shell to building the biggest oil company in the world. Fasten your seatbelts because the phenomenal story of Shell is a roller coaster of ingenuity, rivalry, and global dominance. Let's roll. Picture this: a young Marcus Samuel, born into a successful London business family. His father's import-export enterprise was the talk of the town, with a shop in Houndsditch selling exotic goodies from the Far East. But Marcus wasn't just riding the wave of wealth. He was jet-setting across the globe, from Britain to Brussels, Paris, and beyond. Marcus explored the vibrant markets of the Philippines, China, and Japan, where his father's merchandise originated. The duo turned their father's business into a powerhouse, dealing not just in seashell-decorated boxes but branching out into rice and other commodities. But the plot thickens. They sniffed out a golden opportunity in the land of the rising sun. Japan needed oil. To crack the oil game, Marcus Samuel needed a heavyweight partner. And who better than the Rothschild family, owners of oil reserves in the Caucasus? The deal was struck, and Samuel's company became the exclusive seller of kerosene east of the Suez Canal. It was a game changer, but there was a hiccup. Transporting large loads of oil required a modern, better-equipped vehicle. Guess who stepped up to the plate? Cue the revolution in oil transportation. At the time, oil was schlepped around in leaky barrels, taking up space and causing a mess. Marcus Samuel said, "Hold my oil lamp," and designed a fleet of steamships tailored for the task. These weren't your average ships. He personally designed these tankers, allowing oil to be pumped directly into them at ports. Say goodbye to leaks and hello to efficiency. The pièce de résistance, the first of these tankers, aptly named MX, made history by becoming the first oil tanker to pass through the Suez Canal. This wasn't just a milestone, it was a game changer in global trade. Samuel had just reshaped the oil industry, making distribution cheaper, more efficient, and turning his company into a powerhouse. But hold on, our hero faced adversity. A bitter decade-long rivalry threatened to bring Samuel's empire to its knees. Yet, ingenious engineering, strategic sponsorships, and deep involvement in both world wars saved the day. Shell emerged not just as a survivor, but as one of the top 5 oil companies on the planet. Picture this: Marcus Samuel revolutionizing the oil transportation game. Over the next few years, they sent almost 70 oil tanker voyages through a route that would redefine the industry. Their innovation didn't just explore the value of the company, it completely transformed how oil would be transported. Think bigger volumes, lower risk of leaks, and damages during travel. A game changer. Now, at the time, their major rival was Standard Oil, known for their distinctive blue cans of kerosene. Marcus and Samuel, never ones to shy away from a challenge, decided to make their brand stand out. How? By painting their cans a bold, bright red. And it worked. By the close of the 19th century, their kerosene business was booming. In 1897, the company was officially incorporated as the Shell Transport and Trading Company. Why Shell? In honor of the two brothers' father, known as the Shell Merchant, due to his career in antique dealing. The iconic Shell logo, starting as a realistic design, gradually simplified over the years. But, oh boy, the late 19th century was a battleground for oil. Just 4 years after the company's name change, a Dutch rival, the Royal Dutch Petroleum Company, entered the scene, working hand in hand with the Dutch government in the East Indies. It was the era of the oil wars. Shell faced challenges in Texas after securing an exclusive distribution deal, only to see overproduction tank the prices, causing massive losses. They were in a regional conflict with Royal Dutch, while both were losing ground to the growing giant Standard Oil. After almost a decade of trade wars and realizing they needed to unite to survive, Shell and Royal Dutch reached a historic agreement in 1907. They merged, legally operating as two separate entities, with Royal Dutch holding 60% control and Shell taking 40%. This powerhouse duo dominated the East Asia market. Marcus, by this time, took on roles in public service, leaving the company's reins. The two entities, collectively referred to as the Group, were more commonly known simply as Shell. They soon expanded operations, acquiring Rothschild's oil company and setting foot in Mexico, Venezuela, the United States, Romania, and the Russian Empire. As the early 20th century kicked off, a technological revolution was shaking things up. The battle for oil supremacy wasn't just about land, it was a marketing showdown. Shell had to adapt and innovate to stay ahead, and boy, did they rise to the occasion. The 20th century brought mechanical marvels, and Shell decided to be at the forefront. They sponsored and supplied petrol to aircraft, automobiles, and every vehicle in between. In 1907, the Peking to Paris Motor Rally was conquered by a vehicle using Shell Spirit motor oil. 2 years later, Louis Blériot soared into history as the first pilot to cross the English Channel, fueled by none other than Shell. The red and yellow rebrand, with the iconic pecan-shaped logo, started popping up everywhere. Cars, motorcycles, postcards, and bills worldwide. These experiments with automobiles marked the shift toward mass adoption, and as commercial aircraft became more accessible, the demand for oil skyrocketed, especially with the advent of the jet engine. Shell was strategically positioned to ride this wave. Shell's golden era coincided with the breakup of Standard Oil, previously a monopoly, after U.S. lawmakers declared it in violation of antitrust legislation. Standard Oil split into 43 different companies, including Exxon and Mobil. Economists estimate Standard Oil could have been worth $1 trillion by 2000 if it hadn't been dismantled. Shell seized this opportunity, and between 1897 and 1927, the company's value soared from $1.8 million to $26 million, equivalent to a staggering $66 to $456 million today. Success, however, brought new challenges. Valuable equipment was on the verge of seizure, and global conflicts loomed on the horizon. Yet, Shell navigated through these obstacles, and as World War I erupted, the company emerged as a key partner for the Allied forces. Shell's London office became a war hub, producing specialized aviation fuel with the help of Shell chemicals. The partnership with the British government paved the way for further expansion post-World War I. The company faced setbacks, like the decimation of production during Germany's invasion of Romania in 1916. Still, Shell relentlessly marched forward, and by 1930, it became the world's largest oil company, contributing 1/10 of global crude oil production. Between the wars, Marcus Samuel, now titled Viscount, received commendations for his immense contributions to both the private and public spheres. The 1930s marked the completion of Shell's global headquarters in London, the Shell Mex House. After World War II, with 180,000 employees worldwide, Shell faced the monumental task of rebuilding. Their tankers, once tools of war, were now returned to private hands. Undeterred, Shell embarked on ambitious exploration programs in Africa, South America, Borneo, and the Niger Delta, introducing the supertanker to their fleet. In the following decades, Shell positioned itself at the cutting edge of research and technology. Improved drilling techniques and 3D seismic technology propelled them forward. But let's be real, some of this top-secret research stayed under wraps. As an oil giant, Shell faced scrutiny for its role in environmental degradation, pollution, and climate change. In the 1980s, amidst growing concerns, Internal reports from Exxon and Shell painted a dire picture. Shell's 1988 research predicted a potential doubling of CO2 levels by 2030, a 1-meter rise in sea levels, and a terrifying 6-meter surge from the melting West Antarctic ice sheet. Their own experts warned of catastrophic ecosystem damage and agricultural destruction. Despite this knowledge, Shell publicly denied any link between carbon emissions and climate change. It wasn't until 2018 that the details of that confidential report saw the light of day. In the 21st century, Shell reinvented its image, marketing itself as a champion of climate change science and action. They pledged allegiance to the Paris Climate Agreement and shouted about transitioning to cleaner, lower-carbon alternatives. But wait, talking the talk is one thing, walking the walk is another. Shell still spends a whopping amount lobbying against climate policies, all while claiming to be a green pioneer. They say they're on a journey to reduce fossil fuel dependency, but the actions speak louder. Shell's projected emissions between 2018 and 2030 are set to eat up 1.6% of the global carbon budget. Just 1% of their long-term investments in the past decade went towards energy like wind and solar. Plans for a 20% growth in the fossil gas business and $4 billion of spending, conflicting with international guidelines, raise eyebrows. Critics accuse Shell of greenwashing, slapping an eco-friendly label on a history that contradicts it. The CEO tells shareholders one thing, but the reality appears different. Actions are key, and Shell's past, present, and future are under a microscope. If you enjoyed diving into the phenomenal story of Shell, the biggest oil company in the world, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more captivating content like this.